In the Northeast, freak flooding. In a matter of hours, parts of Pennsylvania doused with up to 11 inches of rain, residents forced to flee their homes. Meanwhile, out west, historic heat, with the region's largest fire still only 0% contained. After 4 days of explosive growth, smoke from that fire in Oregon now clouding the skies over Utah. Extreme conditions leading to extreme concern, as scientists say climate change shows no signs of slowing its deadly rampage.
Scientists have predicted this for the last 70 years, but it's actually happening more quickly and it's more intense than we realized.
So far this year, there have been $8 billion weather disasters, from the deadly Texas freeze in February to the heat wave that hit the Pacific Northwest, killing more than 200 and devastating the coastline, with hundreds of millions of mussels literally cooked alive. An event so extreme, scientists now say it would have been virtually impossible without human-caused climate change. Severe heat is drying out the West, with reservoirs reaching new lows. The parched conditions now fueling infernos across the region, making the fires bigger and more destructive. 2020 was a record fire season for California, but with more than twice as much scorched earth compared to this same time last year, tonight a record already on track to be broken. Across the West, extreme heat continues to threaten 10 million Americans, and officials are asking Californians to cut down their water use by 15%.
The report is called Climatechange 2022, Impacts, Adaptations, and Variability. The report is looking at the impacts of climate change around the globe. Several of the scientists said they were most surprised by the impacts they were finding in terms of loss of life, but also in terms of physical health and mental health. Specifically in North America, they're being seen in terms of intense rain in the eastern half of the continent and the prolonged droughts and heat waves that they're seeing in the West. The South sees it in more intense hurricanes and heat waves. States along the Gulf Coast of the U.S. were specifically mentioned in the report. These more intense hurricanes are striking the Gulf and causing, broader impacts in terms of flooding, like the flooding that we have seen in Houston after Hurricane Harvey, for example. As those storms arc up along the Mississippi and up through the Northeast, those areas are also getting more intense rainfall. For example, Roanoke, Virginia is seeing a lot more intense rainfall than it used to, but on the other side of the state, Virginia Beach and Annapolis, Maryland, both are suffering from the rising sea levels bringing in more water on a high tide. In places like Phoenix, nighttime temperatures aren't dropping as low as they used to. And when the nighttime temperatures doesn't drop, it doesn't allow the air to cool. So that generates warmer temperatures during the day, and it leads to the cascading impacts of warming temperatures. I think to many people, climate change seems like a big, overwhelming issue that you really don't know what you can do. In addition to trying to reduce our carbon footprint, there are these other things that people can do to make their homes and families more safe. If you know that you're in an area that's prone to flooding, you should have flood insurance so that your family can recover. You should have a plan for evacuating. People who live in wildfire-prone areas can have, defensible space around their homes, clearing out brush and having these safe zones around their homes. So there are incremental little things that you can do at your home to protect yourself.